session 4 of the day. In this session, the esteemed panelists are going to discuss about ESG and sustainability lenses for ENP and the impact of COP26 in Indian energy landscape. For this, we have Dr. J.P. Gupta as the chair. For the co-chair, we have K.K. Nayak. Mr. K.K. Nayak has more than 33 years experience in leading positions in oil and gas industry in India, Saudi Arabia and Oman. He is currently the CEO of Kiri Group. He is a member of Labour Reforms Committee, Ministry of Labour, Government of India for the last 4 years. Very recently, he worked extensively to bring the Bhandut field near Surat into gas production in record time of 3 months, a field that was without oil and gas production for more than 20 years. Sir, may I now request you to commence the session, please?
Thank you, Chandrima. I will now request our session chair, Honorable Session Chair, Dr. J.P. Gupta. Dr. J.P. Gupta is currently the Managing Director of Green Start India. He is specialized in refinery, petrochemicals, specialty chemicals, renewable, including green hydrogen. He is a professional experience in process design, refineries, and petrochemicals and project management and education. Dr. Gupta has published 2 books, Industry Chemicals in India, Hydrogen, Indian and Norwegian authors. He has completed MTech from business schools. He was chairman of Expert Appraisal Committee EA2 for 2 terms. He just finished his term, and besides, he is a very good author, and I've worked very closely with him. He has mentored all of us. So next, I will go to our first speaker, Dr. J.S. Sharma. Dr. J.S. Sharma is also a member of Expert Appraisal Committee for the 2nd term. He is continuing. He superannuated from ONGC as a group general manager. After that, he is working as the president of Indian Association for Air Pollution Control, IAPC, Delhi chapter. He has more than 38 years of experience and previously served as a group general manager and head of ONGC. And he is also actively involved in many events, many knowledge sharing sessions in India. So I request Dr. J.S. Sharma to continue his presentation, please.
Thank you, Chairman, and thank you, Dr. Nayak, introducing me. And as per the requirement of the panel, I am just speaking on sustainable development, ESG, sustainability, lenses on the ENP impact of COP26 on Indian energy landscape. My presentation will cover sustainable goals, development goals, focus area, that is 4 P's, sustainability parameters, major elements of sustainability, Indian perspective, challenges and ideas in implementing SDGs, impact of COP26 on Indian energy landscape, SDG 7, clean and affordable energy, challenges and new development, impact of COVID-19 and way forward. What is sustainable development? Is a concept that appeared for the first time in 1987 with the publication of Brundtland Report warning of the negative environmental consequences of economic growth and globalization, which tried to find possible solutions to the problems caused by industrialization and population growth. Brundtland was Norwegian Prime Minister, and subsequently she wrote a book on our common future on which she was awarded a Nobel Prize. Then sustainability is a development that satisfies the needs of the present without compromising the capacity of future generations, guaranteeing the balance between economic growth, care for the environment, and social well-being. The sustainable and advancement of countries and the world in general must not lead to diminishing returns. To keep the flow of returns, positive sustainability must be incorporated into growth and development and objectives compatible with the SDGs. The pursuit of these goals as the global drivers of growth and development has changed the philosophy of the progress. On 25th September 2015, 193 countries of the UN General Assembly adopted the 2030 Development Agenda titled Transforming Our World, the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development. To summarize this, the sustainable development, one side lead to improve the quality of life and well-being, and the other side judicious use of natural resources and preservation of ecosystems. How to achieve this sustainable development? Many of the challenges facing humankind, such as climate change, water scarcity, inequality, and hunger, can only be resolved at a global level and by promoting the sustainable development, a commitment to social progress, environmental balance, and economic growth. As a part of this new sustainable agenda roadmap, the United Nations approved the 2030 Agenda, which contains Sustainable Development Goals (SDGs), a call to action to protect the planet and guarantee the global well-being of people. These common goals require the active involvement of the individuals, businesses, administration, countries of the world. These are the 17 SDGs which are specified and adopted by the UN agenda. Then goals for better world. These 17 objectives are interrelated and often the key to one success, which involve the issues most frequently linked to another. They can be summarized as follows: eradicate poverty and hunger, guaranteeing a healthy life; universalize access to basic services such as water, sanitation, and sustainable energy; support the generation of development opportunities through inclusive education and decent work; foster innovation, resilient infrastructure, create communities and cities able to produce and consume sustainably; reduce inequality in the world, especially the concern in gender; care for the environment, combating climate change and protecting the oceans, land ecosystem; promote collaboration between different signal agents to create the environment, peace, and sustainable development. People, the four P's I focus of the sustainable SDG is four P's. One is people, the other is the planet, the prosperity, and the peace. So there are five, one, two, three, four, and five factors, SDGs, responsible on which we should focus. One is people, ending poverty and hunger in all their forms of dimensions, ensuring that all human beings can fulfill their potential and dignity and equality in a healthy environment. Planet, protecting the planet from degradation, including through sustainable consumption and production, sustainably managing its natural resources, taking urgent action on climate change so that it can support the need of the present and future generations. Then prosperity, ensuring that all human beings can enjoy prosperous and fulfilling lives and that economic, social, and technological progress occurs in harmony with nature. And fostering peaceful, just, and inclusive societies which are free from fear, violence. There can be no sustainable development without peace and no peace without sustainable development. Sustainability parameter across level, global level, national and regional level, local level, a district, village or farm level. At global level, the climate change, emissions, air pollution, ozone depletion; national level, deforestation, water management, water pollution, water depletion, biodiversity imbalances, land erosion, desertification, depletion of flora, fauna; and local level, loss of soil quality, weather dependence on irrigation, loss of farms income. To summarize this sustainable development, we can take four components. One is environment protection, social development, economic development, cultural development, and so on. Sustainable development, Indian perspective. The Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas, Sabka Vishwas, translated as collective effort, inclusive development, and everyone's trust, indicated by the Honorable Prime Minister of India, forms the cornerstone of India's National Sustainable Development Agenda. Union Government of India tried to align SDGs with its National Development Agenda and is set to bring out a key policy document such as Vision, Strategy and Action Agenda. The Niti Aayog has been entrusted with the role of coordinate the SDGs in India. The Other part is Niti Aayog has also come up with the second edition of SDG India Index 1920, which is aligned with the SDG National Indicator Framework. The index presents a more robust framework for measuring the progress on SDGs at the sub-national level, helps analyze, identify best practices and priority areas, in addition to promoting healthy competition among our states and union territories. The states are also aligning their program and schemes to SDGs. In March 18, Haryana became the first state in India to have its annual budget focused on the attainment of SDG within a 3-year action plan and a 7-year strategy plan to implement SDGs. Finally, these are the few challenges. One is financing. Huge financial resources are required to achieve the goal under the SDGs. It is a major challenge for poor developing countries. Each participant country is supposed to raise its own resources through domestic sources, funding from private sector, and crack down on illicit financial flow and corruption. Localization, responsibility, and ownership of the process of policy and budget making, planning, implementation, and monitoring of progress is not clearly defined, reflecting SDGs at the level of state and local government. Further evolution of fund, function, and functionary to local government is a big challenge. Financial support, this is the report by UN supported report by technology and action for rural development. It says that to create the awareness program creation for sustainable development, there is a big gap. The financial required is about 909 lakh crore in Indian rupees, and there is and only available is 533. So the gap is very high. So to meet all these things, it is difficult to achieve, but we need to make some certain kind of roadmap to achieve the SDGs. Supervision. Monitoring and evaluation of the outcome has been one of the major challenge under SDG due to lack of preparation of development indicators and state, district, and block level. Inclusiveness. The framework of monitoring and tracking the development benefits adopted by the union government did not have adequate focus on the inclusion of the marginalized community. It is constantly being addressed. Ideas for achievement the SDGs. High standard of governance at all levels, close collaboration between the national, state, local government and active participation of all stakeholders, continuous monitoring like biannual review, identify good practices as well as challenges, undertaking the appropriate course corrections, cross-learning and sharing knowledge, documentation and dissemination of such experiences, coupled with the extension of technical report for resolving problem areas will be the key functions of knowledge management system for SDG. Interdepartmental and interministerial coordination owing to the interconnectedness of the SDGs. Consultation and capacity building activities at the national and regional level for carrying out various exercises, nurturing partnership at the regional and global level, ensuring greater flow of knowledge, financial, technology support from the developed countries, and in alignment with their explicit commitment for 2030 agenda. The impact of COP26 on Indian energy landscape. Here I want to quote another quote of Honorable Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi ji, who spoke at COP26 Glasgow on climate change, has presented the following 5 nectar elements, Panchamrit, to deal with the climate change challenge and affirmed it to be an unprecedented contribution of India to climate action. First, India will take its own non-fossil energy capacity to 500 gigawatt by 2030. The second, India will meet 50% of its energy requirement from renewable energy by 2030. The third, India will reduce the total projected carbon emission by 1 million tons now till 2030. Fourth, by 2030, India will reduce the carbon intensity of its economy by more than 45%. And fifth, by the year 2070, India will achieve the target of net zero. As a follow-up Honorable Prime Minister's initiative, the COP26 and also realizing the climate mitigation commitment of the nation should not disrupt business as usual of the most of the fossil fuel petroleum industries by and we should place an appropriate roadmap for carbon neutrality by 2070. But we do not know to what extent our readiness is available for this roadmap. Then Sustainable Development Goal 7 ensure access to affordable, reliable, sustainable and modern energy for all in pursuit of clean energy. India is about 17% world population has huge challenge to make clean and affordable energy to every citizen. All forms of clean energy sources are needed. India experiencing energy transition will shift towards renewable energy. Solar Alliance biggest projection in the world, 500 gigawatt by 2030 plant from solar energy, drive for drive for cleaner energy, gas-based economy, increase natural gas contribution in the primary energy mix 15% by 2030 from the existing 6%. About 750 million people gained access to electricity during a decade. However, low carbon electricity supply is still challenged. Per capita emission of 1.6 ton of CO2 is well below the global average of 4.4 tons. India's global share to CO2 emission is about 6.4%. If you see, this is the report from the World Bank, BP Conversions, and IMF. It says that energy use per capita BOE, the barrels of oil equivalent, highest for the US, then Korea, then Germany, Japan, China, and India. So this here is another picture, clean and affordable energy. It shows the darkest is the American countries, the developed countries, and the fake color is the African countries, and so on. So this is the energy data. And in pursuit of clean energy, further, the hydrogen is the answer for meeting the stringent, the environmental norms and mitigation climatic change without implicating the growth phase. In 1700, we used to have wood, then coal, then oil, then natural gas, then CNG, and then looking for the hydrogen. So this, I think Dr. Our chairman is expert on the hydrogen, and we are through PhD chamber progressing lot many things to bring for country for many opportunities for hydrogen. But one question is here that for 1 liter 1 kilogram of hydrogen we need 9 kilogram of water. So this we have to see the planner. Then the clean energy and affordable energy, other thing, this is a comparison between diesel with respect to the diesel hybrid, diesel parallel hybrid, fuel cell bus biomass and additive. The minimum, the best thing, the percentage WTW is the well to wheel GHG per grams of CO2 equivalent kilometer. The minimum is with the fuel cell bus with respect to GHG 83% is the highest. So this people have to look for this kind of option. Same is here, hydrogen, environment policy, technology development. This is a schematic representation of hydrogen is a chemical, not an electron, hence can be stored, dispensed safely like oil and gas. So we have to work on this. The promotes e-mobility through fuel cells, overcomes issue with batteries like range of NXT, charging time can be used together within natural gas in pipeline and end use like blending with CNG, PNG. Then intraday balancing of renewable generation and power demand, seasonal balancing of renewable, and so on, reducing fossil fuel generation. In this, you see the clean here from 2018 to 2050. There is a vision how the FCEV vehicle, the fuel cell vehicle, will change the total picture of the energy sector in time to come. Then COVID, there was a lot of impact because of SDGs. Unprecedented impact, fear of life, no medicine, vaccine. 140 countries suffered, 4 million people infected, 100,000 deaths, reminding Spanish flu, Ebola. Major disruption in business, global supply chain, barring some essential services, world economy, major recessions. Then pivotal moment, a moment of shift, big moment in the world that happens in 100 years. Reshape the world. Pandemic has hit the time of structural transformation of the economy. Review sustainability. Is there conflict between environment and development? This is said by one of the Nobel laureate at the World Economic Forum. The employees' perspective. The employees, workers, migrant labor have experienced tremendous hardship as a result of pandemic, lockdown, forced shutdown, business due to demand, restriction, supply chain disruption, no wages of layoff, pay cuts, no incentive, uncertainty in future, lack of social security, safety net, etc. So this is the world. This is the study done by Japanese study. In the COVID, the world GDP growth was gone negative in 2020. 2021, it has started going up again. The learning from this crisis, we need to learn so many takeaways from this learning and make our things ready for our taking proper action plan. Then convert crisis into catalyst to implement SDGs. Resilience is essential. Lack of planning preparedness to deal with the outbreak has brought resilience in focus. Need to develop the ability for human system to anticipate, cope, and adapt. Needed to respond to climate change. Stimulus need to have focus on sustainable development, support individual businesses, economy afloat, must pave the way to more sustainable economy and not move towards high carbon future. Right time for investment in infrastructure, clean energy and low carbon initiative. Inequality is a major issue and hurdle. Way forward. It is just coming to an end. It is unfortunate that pandemic hit the world when the SDG were gaining traction and countries were making good progress. There is a need to renew the sense of urgency to achieve the SDGs among the policymakers worldwide. Addressing global challenges goes beyond one country's ability and underline the need the bigger investment and greater global cooperation. Many targets of SDG 12, 13, 14, and 15 were scheduled to be completed by 20, but we realize that several gains are eroded. But this should not deter us and deviate our focus and energy to accelerate and deepen our efforts during the time to recover, better build, healthier, safer, fairer, and more prosperous world. Convert crisis to catalyst to implement SDGs, Atmanirbhar Bharat. Only the last slides to the just a proverb. Only when the last tree has died, the last river been poisoned, and the last fish has been caught, will we realize that we cannot eat money. Indian epic Mahabharata says, on acquiring wealth, men want to acquire kingdom. Having acquired a kingdom, they want to become God, and then become among gods, they want to become the king of the gods. Thank you for patient hearing. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Sabasab. It was very, and it is all, self-explanatory. So let us move to the next speaker, Mr. J. Lahiri.
So I have to leave it, Lahiri Sahab. Namaskar.
Namaskar, sir.
I have to leave to some place. So
Okay.
I am leaving. If any question, send on my mail. I will respond it.
Yeah, in fact, Sharma Sahab, only I approached him today morning or yesterday night only, and he has been kind enough to join in very short notice. Thank you so much, sir. Honoring, yeah. I will welcome Mr. J. Lahiri, who is currently working as a Executive Director in Director General of Hydrocarbons. He has been very instrumental in a lot of reforms and ease of doing business in E&P industry, specifically at a lot of contribution to Northeast. He is basically from the pipeline background and having more than 35, 36 years, I think around 40 years of experience in oil and gas industry. And he is the founder, you can say, of this Upstream Summit. And we have worked jointly for many reforms in oil and gas industry in last few years. Laisa, please start.
Yeah, next slide, please. Next slide. So here my basically thing is what you are discussing in this session regarding the environment, social and governance and sustainability. I will not take much time, but since on record also that ENP, when we look ahead for carrying out our journey up to 2050, we need also to a lot of support from the government in the terms of rules and regulations. So just I have a number of slides, but I'll go very fast because you can get the slide. Here I will just tell any business in Indian land you do, you have got 1,536 acts. There are central acts, state acts. Then the prevailing compliances, 69,000, and a central state. Then prevailing return filing. This covers in various areas. Environment, health, industry specific, like that. Next slide. This is the same thing what I had given earlier. Next slide. Here I would like to draw attention of Government of India. If we want that oil and gas E&P industry to operate, Government India has to do now. ENP, upstream ENP activity is governed with multiple regulation, multiple ministry, multiple control. It is under DGMS, under Ministry of Labor. It has to comply Mines Act, Oil Mines Regulation. Ministry of Labor Employment under Chief Inspector of Factory. Again, the Factory Act you have to implement. Then Ministry of Commerce and Industry, your peso license under so many regulations. Then of course again coming to the Ministry of Petroleum, you have DGH which will be governing the Oil Fields Act 1948 and PNG rule. Then we have got PNGRB, Act 2006 and EDMP 2010, and we have again YSD. Apart from that, you have to have 35 environmental regulations. This ENP industry has to follow. This is I told about the onshore, and the offshore also have given. So next slide. When you see the international background, India having the statutory authorities DGMH, Chief Inspector of Factory, PESO, PNGRB, OSD. It is a fragmented. And when you compare with the other countries, UK, Norway, China, they are having single authority. And like India, only fragmented is USA, Western Australia, and Indonesia, but also not that so many numbers. Next slide. So safety and occupational health in upstream oil and gas industry has to be reviewed with the appointment of a single regulatory agency and a single legislation. It is governed under multiple. And the 12th report of Standing Committee of Petroleum Natural Gas, it was placed in Lok Sabha, Rajya Sabha in May 2012. They had suggested also for the same thing. Next slide. Now coming back to the when you get a block, this is a total basic statutory clearances the operator has to take. So it may be helpful to you. First you have to get the PL, PML. Then if it is a PML, if it is a forest land, then you have to take again FC approval from central government. If it is a no PML, then state government can give. I am telling about the onshore. Offshore, it is directly given by the central government. And after you get it, then when you find that first basic thing you require to start is you require environment clearance. If it is exploratory, you go to B2 category. If after A category, then you require CTO from the State Pollution Control Board. Then you need NOC from Central Groundwater Authority for drawing of water. And if applicable, forest clearance, social wildlife clearance, and CRZ clearance will come to the picture. But PESO approval you require for the tanks and pipelines and the diesel tank for the rigs. So apart from that, there are 21 other approvals. So these are the quite many things are involved. Next slide. I will not elaborate here. This is I have given the in various phases of ENP operation, what kind of environment things you have to do, say new blocks, seismic, drilling, development, production. So I have given here, so you can refer it. These are the things you have to comply. Next. Here I will be giving stress to, especially when you operate in Northeast, which is a high forest cover. There, unless the government of India does not, government of India has to do something about the doing the simplification in the forest clearance process, because it is any forest clearance they are giving in 2 stages, and the stage 1 it is taking minimum 4 years. Why the delay? The delay is because oil and gas has been treated as a mining activity, whereas it is treated as an industrial activity under EI notification. So we are putting efforts to get it changed. Then the forest clearance proposals remains within the state with nodal officer and DOPO 1.5 years to 2 years. It does not move further up. Then there is a scarcity of getting land for the compulsory afforestation. There is no land bank in the states, especially for the private operators. Then along with associated with the forest clearance, you required the FRA 2006 compliance certificate from DC, which is a quite lengthy procedure. You do Gram Sabha, you do SDLC, you do DLC, then you get certificate. That also take 1.5 to 2 years. And there is no no clear-cut forest boundary map in the northeastern states. So the DFO is not able to approve the proposal. Next. Similarly, getting the wildlife clearance, that the 10 kilometer is considered an ESZ area by default since 2006. So most all of the operators, so the Cairn, Oil India, ONGC, anybody, HOEC, everybody's blocks fall under 10 kilometer ESZ area where you request approval wildlife clearance, and wildlife clearance takes minimum 3 to 4 years. And delay, and there is again another delay. This ESZ proposal has to be approved by the State Wildlife Board, which is chaired by the Chief Minister of the states, and hardly there is a one meeting in a year, and with thousands of proposals, so it may get approved not, so it takes 4-5 years, and this approval. So these are the areas what we are trying to telling that these are the areas Government of India has to simplify. That the same form which is used for diversion of land inside the forest, inside the protected area, is being used for the ESZ area. When ESZ area is neither a forest land nor a wildlife land, it is only by default of Supreme Court order, but the form is same. So while filling up the form, the DFO and everybody has to submit all reports. So this form needs to be modified. And there is a one verdict of Supreme Court against CEC's, not verdict of Supreme Court, one CEC's recommended in September 2012 in IA 1000 that since 2006 nothing has been done about the site specific ESZ. So they had given ESZ area from 100 meter to 2 kilometer depending upon the forest size. But unfortunately, this CC recommendation is not further forwarded to the to Supreme Court to get endorsed. So if it is endorsed, then the 10 kilometer ESZ area will get reduced to 100 meter to 2 kilometer. Then there was a guideline in wildlife divisions in September 2014. That guideline, well clear, said ESZ area proposal does not attract Wildlife Protection Act. So this should not be routed to the State Wildlife Board. Rather, it should come straight to the here in Delhi. The cases where EC is applicable. Unfortunately, it is in between within the ministry, between the EC and Wildlife Division. That circular has been subsequently withdrawn in May 15. So this also again should Government of India should see to reintroduce. And other two things, the site-specific ESZ notification which are being finalized, there it is that oil gas ELP activity has been banned, whereas standing committee has given judgment in September 2021, 7 projects of ONGC, and they clearly said it is not a mining, so ONGC has been allowed to drill inside Krishna. So here, this ESZ notifications, whatever being notified final, those should have the provision of to permit oil and gas ENP activities with regulatory mechanism. Similarly, seismic survey presently not allowed in protected area should be allowed. Next. This is the one graph I have shown. The red yellow portion in the center you see. This is a small tree wildlife sanctuary in Assam, Barjan. The size is 4.39, one is 1 kilometer, one is 1.76 kilometer. But how it affects the 10 kilometer when you take, how the blocks affected. All the blue one are the blocks. So this is the Oil India, ONGC, Oil India, HOEC, and now HOEC block also is being entangled here. Next. So this is related to the EC. EC, it is not much. There is not much delays actually there. Here maximum delays taking place. The states are not conducting public hearing within the 45 days. And here there is a rider that below the level of ADC, no one can chair the public hearing proceedings. So here at least they have to give, ministry should consider that giving the power up to SDO or SDM level, so that the public hearing gets in time, and compliance certificate getting delay. EC validity, another constraint is that EC validity is given for oil and gas activity for 7 years. When the PML validity is for the block, say 20 years, and with a target of when a EC is obtained, with a plan of what the block, which for a stage of 20 years is being planned. But but whereas the EC validity remains only 7 years. That is one thing. Then one GSR is there that need to be amended, that has got very stringent condition for exploratory dealings. Then the pipeline construction not allowed in forest land when the ECFC is combined. And B2 category, you see now the Assam has introduced a SOP in January 21, January 20, so that that SOP says 45 days. So Government of India can introduce it the same thing in B2 category for other state. And CT and ECA one step process. MOCC had planned by the OM in February 20, which actually practically not implemented. Next. Next. Next, Government of India has done lot of things. Next, Government of India is doing something. Back, please. Government of India has done this thing that hydrocarbon vision launch. Then January 29, the Niti Aayog has launched a report enhancing domestic production. Then the PMO has announced self-reliant India movement. OSH code 2020 has been released in 2020. The national single window clearance done. Now India is planning to do that before allotment of a block to give them the PL, CT, and B2 category EC, which is another active consideration, so that operator can start from day one. Next. And one ECC also formed to fast track the or pending clearances in February 2019. Next. And a Urja Pragati portal also launched in July 21 to monitor the project, and Upstream India capacity building has been launched by DGH. Next. These are also the what are the things that they are to fast track done by Government of India. Next. So here also another new thing has done that from October 2021 we have DGH has appointed 15 NECC member in the state governments of Assam, Arunachal, and Tripura. And they are the employee of DGH, but their office order issued by the state, and they are given to the many offices like Forest Office, DC Office, your Office of Pollution Control Board, etc. And it is giving some good result since October 21. Next. This is the office order issued by the state. Next. Next. Similarly, MOFCC has done something towards the
speed up, please. There is spilling over the time. Request you to please speed up, please.
So these I'm not going to read here. You can say here. Next. So these are the things MOFCC has done in favor for ease of doing business. Next. But there are certain things still remaining. Next. Next. One regional workshop was done jointly by Oil India, ONGC, Cairn, and HOC in October 2019, where our present session chairman was also present. After that, an official letter had been sent by IRO Shillong in 11 December 2019, where a lot of suggestions have been given. If that can be taken as a base by MOFCC, then a lot of things can ease out. Next. These are there on that letter. Next. Next. These are the few policy related things we are on the card, on the job with MOFCC we are pursuing. and we are hopeful that soon this will see the day of the light. Next. So now I heard only that there is a wrong belief among the people like Tamil Nadu and other states that oil and gas E&P business is hardly is badly affecting the environment, and it is also causing your land subsidence study, but which is actually not. Next slide. This is the subsidence study done by oil in July 2019. The entire northeastern field where the last 133 years the operation is going on, and that it is done by ISRO, and it is clearly told that oil and gas E&P activity does not cause any subsidence effect. Next. This is the field of Oil India, 133 years old field in Digboy. You can see more than 1,000 wells drilled, and still the field is under production. But you see the greenery. It has not affected the environment. The environment has regained its own shape again. Next. Thank you very much. This is only I told that it should be a part of our report when we recommend in the second edition. Thank you.
Can we go to the next speaker, Mr. Sai Subramanian, please? Can you please share the presentation, please? Are we online now? Before Mr. Sai Subramanian starts his presentations, I will tell very briefly about Mr. Sai Subramanian. He is working currently as a director HSEQ in Cairn Oil and Gas of Vedanta. In this role, he is actively involved in the ESG journey for the company and driving the decarbonization projects. He has over 29 years of experience in oil and gas industry and chemical industry. At Cairn, he has been the part of major development activities in Kembe block in Rajasthan, and prior to this, he was director oil and director projects in Cairn in Rajasthan, and he was responsible for the major production of the Cairn oil and gas in Rajasthan. So, request Mr. Saibram continue his presentation, please.
Thank you, Mr. Nayak, and good afternoon, everyone, respected chair and all my co-panelists. And I think they've made my job easier now. The first presenter, Dr. Sharma, talked about the SDG Sustainable Development Goals, and Mr. Lahiri talked about the regulations. And I will make it simple with talking about the ESG framework that's required in oil and gas sector. Next slide, please. ESG. What it means. I think most of us will know that ESG is nothing but environmental, social, and governance. This has become a buzzword in the not only the corporate sector, even in the business units and the senior leaders talking about ESG. And ESG is across all the businesses. Any business that's being done anywhere across the world impacts the ESG, environment, social, and governance. And what it takes for the business to showcase their performance will have to include ESG as one of the parameters. And that has come as a reality. And that is why you would see that a lot of big pension funds have removed those companies which doesn't have the good ESG metrics. And recently in 2020, also, even the big players like Shell, Exxon, were informed that if their performance in the ESG metrics doesn't move up, then there's a likelihood of they taking off from the pension funds which they hold in different parts of the world. This is just a brief on the ESG. What it brings about, it brings the shareholders value, the purpose and the societal obligation. It creates value for a long term for any company. And the rise of the ESG is for the environment stewardship, social responsibility, and corporate governance. And as you recall, oil and gas company, by virtue of its business, produces a carbon molecule, which when either combusted or used in any process operations, generate greenhouse gas. So inherent of its own, oil and gas has the greenhouse gas which impacts the environment. And today, a lot of Indian oil and gas companies are recalibrating their businesses to achieve the net zero deadlines. And the way we talked of the various speakers talked about India by 2040 would like 2030 would like to reach a 40 million ton of oil production, which means that oil and gas production is here to stay, and we are here to see how our ESG performance improves in the oil and gas business, which makes this place a sustainable one. Next, I will take you through the risks and opportunities in the ESG framework and what it means in the oil and gas sector. And if we could manage the ESG metrics efficiently, then it would create a bigger wealth, not only for the company, for the nation and the community at large. The three basic pillars, the risk is on the environment exposure. The challenges governing that is essentially your air, water and land pollution, which is greenhouse gas emission, the water effluent and the waste management, and on the land, it's biodiversity and displacement of habitants in the land. So what are the opportunities available to us? If we can shift to cleaner and efficient technology, which can reduce the carbon footprint, and if we can optimize the resources by leveraging the latest technologies and using digitalization and innovation, which would reduce the carbon footprint, will help a long way in reduce our greenhouse gas emission. And on the water and waste, first of all, we will have to use a water efficient technologies for all the process activities that we undertake in oil and gas. Rainwater harvesting has become a very key subject across all parts of India and also the world, where today we are talking about by 2050, if we don't conserve water, we will all the developing countries will struggle for managing the water. So second is the reuse and recycle opportunities, and talking about the conservation, just like your resource optimization, conservation of water and also the waste, and promoting biodegradable products. And also these days we have the waste to wealth opportunities. Those were the days when all the waste used to be taken to the landfill for safe deposition. Today we are talking about how we can convert the waste into the wealth by utilizing in various activities. The last but not least is the land disturbance. In the E&P sector, we have moved towards the directional and the horizontal drilling, which minimize the land disturbance. Similarly, the customized rigs, which are utilized in various well pads, have reduced the footprint, and afforestation and social forestry will help conserve the ecosystems that we have. Next, on the social front, next please. On the social risks, what we have is a community, and one of my co-panelists, Dr. Sharma, talked about the sustainable goals of the UN Charter, so which is clearly defines the purpose for betterment of the planet, and we need to adopt it and ensure that that is followed in spirit. And on the employment and the procurement, where we have to encourage the local employment and also the development, skill development of the people working around us. The third aspect is the health and safety aspect, where we have to improve the work practices that's being adopted in the E&P industry. We can leverage the latest technologies, whether it's artificial intelligence, data analytics, drones, robots, for managing the safety standards and the incident to capture the safety incidents. And what they say is the diversified workforce brings innovation and creativity. Diversified doesn't mean only the gender diversity. Diversity in all aspects would definitely help in innovation and creativity. The last but not the least, the risk is the governance risk, which sends the right message across to the employees, stakeholders, to the fund managers, to the investors, as to how we have deployed the capital to ensure that we have a sustainable business, and that gives the license to operate. So basically, these three key pillars are essential for our ESG journey. Next, I will quickly take through what we have done in Cairn on our ESG journey. I'll make it very quick. The three pillars, which are transforming the planet, the transforming communities, transforming the workplace, which is under the ESG umbrella, with the purpose of Cairn Oil and Gas Vedanta is to ensure the transform responsibly for securing India's energy future. We will continue to produce, we will continue to explore and develop and produce at the same time taking care of the three pillars. Next. I will delve into the three pillars one by one as to what we are doing and how we are going to impact. One is the vision, and second, the vision statement. Second is how we are going to do it. This is what we have taken as our target for achieve the vision by 2050. Positively impact around 1 million people by 2030 using sustainable livelihood opportunities, educating 9 million students by 2030 to the digital education program, which is online using YouTube, and uplifting 20 million women and children through education, nutrition, healthcare. We have a flagship Nayak program, which I'll be talking about it, and innovate the healthier planet, which is about the making the planet, I would say, pollution-free, achieving net zero carbon by 2050, sustain net positive water impact, plantation of 2 million trees, and protect and enhance the biodiversity. The last piece is about be a great place to work. Prioritizing safety and health. Unless your safety excellence in a company is not honored and nurtured, then your productivity is going to fall. So it's very, very important element. Promote gender diversity and inclusivity. Adhere to the global standards for the corporate governance. Next. So taking into the first pillar, which is the greenhouse gas emission, I quickly run through the decarbonization strategy, what we have adopted. First, we have signed the green power sourcing for Cairn Oil and Gas Vedanta, where we would be getting RTC round the clock green power for instead of taking power from the grid using coal, thermal energy. And in fact, go with solar, wind and hybrid form of this one, install next to our plant so that it helps to meet our energy requirement. The flare gas recovery for the stranded fields, and there are fields which produce around 20% carbon dioxide, and we have already embarked on the journey of understanding and for re-injecting it back into the reservoir using carbon sequestering. The energy efficiencies on the waste heat generators and where boiler recovery is another element which we are floating, and electric fleet vehicles. Currently, we have around 150 odd vehicles, and we would be converting all of these into electrical vehicles by 2055. We have also started exploring for geothermal energy, where we have close to around 600 to 800 wells there in Rajasthan, out of which there are a good number of wells which can be used for tapping geothermal energy. We have already awarded in the process of awarding the contract to one of our partners to do a feasibility study. We have also engaged a Norwegian company to use our natural gas for producing hydrogen and use that as a fuel mix in our boilers. So that as in the concept stage. And last but not least is gas to liquid fuel, wherein we are in the process of finalizing the feasibility study with one of our partners. This is on the decarbonization strategy. Next. On the transforming communities, which is the social aspect about the farm and non-farm related, the livelihood opportunities, engage all the stakeholders to ensure that and the agri dairy and livestock, which will help in improve their livelihood, youth training and skill development programs, and the camps across for the mobile health and camps, women empowerment, Namgar, which is one of the unique thing which Vedanta has institutionalized across the entire group, which includes Cairn Oil and Gas as well. Next. The last is the transforming the workplace, which is to have safe work culture and to have safety excellence journey, where we have partnered DuPont as our safety excellence partner, who would be imparting the safety culture and coaching the leaders there to have to take part in the safety excellence journey. And we want to aspire to be in the top quartile of our IOGP companies in terms of our HSE statistics. And we are aspiring for having 30% gender diversity in top management and overall workforce. Today, we are at 17% in the top management and around 19% across the sites in terms of gender diversity. We want to take it up to 30%, and also developing policies to support diverse talent groups and the transparency and performance disclosures. All these things are essential metrics for any oil and gas company to have a right place in terms of in the fund managers and the wealth fund to ensure sustainable livelihood. Move next. These were the few things from my side. And I would like to conclude that ESG is a buzzword, and we will have to start embracing it for us to have a sustainable oil and gas business. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Sai, for elaborating. Let us now request Mr. Patil to share his presentation, please.
Mr. Patil, request you to be brief.
Patil is a senior director and heads the technical consulting vertical of the FICCI. He has led numerous consulting projects in various industry sectors like oil and gas, petroleum refineries, thermal power plants, textile processing, pulp and paper, and cement manufacturing. He has also contributed to evolving PET scheme of PWE, MOPNG on energy efficiency improvement. Patil sir,
Yeah.
request you to share. Continue.
Good afternoon, all of you. I understand that there's a shortage of time, so I would probably take only 7-8 minutes. Now, taking a clue from Mr. Subramanian's presentation, which I heard just now, broadly, which I would like to focus on is like in order to achieve our ESG goals and sustainability, broadly, we have two options. Either we shift to cleaner technologies, we go for a new technologies, or we try to conserve existing resources efficiently. So techno-economically, which is the better option? Sometimes it is better to go for a change of technology itself, but there are many opportunities in the oil and gas exploration sector
Can you
where
put
the
the slides,
existing.
please? I think slides are not moving. Hello,
Hello?
slides are not moving. Slides are not moving. Slides. Can you put
Now
in
it is
slideshow
moving.
mode, please? Yeah.
Yeah. They're
Yeah.
working.
Yeah. So basically, like I would like to just focus on that. Optimization of existing resources is an opportunity for all corporates to achieve ESG. Because we like the option of going for a cleaner technology is always there, but it is generally expensive and it will take more time to adopt. But in the existing practices, there are opportunities which we can focus on and try to do some improvements, improve the efficiency of energy consumption, water consumption, and thereby probably in a shorter time we could achieve some part of the ESG goals. So I would like to just give some examples because FICCI has been doing energy, water audits, water footprint studies, etc. in different oil and exploration fields. I would like to just give a couple of examples because shortage of time. We did like Cairn is one of the major facility where Rawa facility, Suwali facility, Barmer facility, RGT facility. We have done energy audits, water audits, including even IOCL Bongaigaon. So we found certain areas where there is a possibility of uh, improving our energy efficiency and environmental efficiency. So just to give some idea, let's say gas turbines. Gas turbines used for process gas compressors. I'm trying to give the existing status and the opportunities. In the existing, there are like the gas turbines, gas booster compressors, and process gas compressors consume good amount of gas, which consists of 71% of the fuel gas consumption of the complex itself. So they are operating on an open cycle, and we feel that maybe though you have a limited period of contract to run the facility, so the decision is not taken whether to change from open cycle to closed cycle, whereas you have more investments coming in. But now that the hydrocarbon is becoming expensive, it is a high time to change from open cycle systems to closed loop systems. So the opportunities are presently the electrical power demand of the complex is in the range of around 1,200 kilowatt. One of the case I'm mentioning, and instead of open cycle operation, it is recommended that this power should be generated by combined cycle operation using HRSG facilities, wherein steam is generated from the exhaust waste recovery and turbine can generate the power. So this is one opportunity. I am not going into other details. Then thermal fluid heaters. Existing status, in the new thermic fluid heaters, the percentage O2 and CO content in the flue gas were observed to be 6.2 and about 0 ppm. The flue gas temperatures were very high, 282 degrees centigrade. These are actual measured values. Both O2 and flue gas temperatures are on the higher side. The efficiency of the thermic fluid heater is estimated to be only 76%. Measurements could not be done in the old thermic fluid heaters in the particular case. So there is a possibility that we can use this waste heat of these thermic fluid heaters. The opportunity is the burners may be turned to reduce the O2 percentage from the existing levels of 6% to 3%, which will reduce the excess air levels from 41% to 16%. The efficiency of the thermic fluid heaters will improve by 2%. So this would save us in terms of efficiency of the thermic fluid heaters. Then compressed air, the average estimated compressed air demand is in the particular case 373 CFM, and there is a overall specific power consumption was 28 kilowatt per 100 CFM. Opportunity was the capacity of the variable speed compressors was high. The compressor will operate very close to full load with the nitrogen plant operating at 58% capacity. So by optimizing the compressor operations, probably you need not the compressors which load unload frequently, that operation can be reduced, and we could probably optimize on the compressor operations. Due to shortage of time, I'm not going into the details. Similarly, recovery and reuse of boiler blowdown and flash steam. That is one opportunity. Recovering flash steam about 119 TPD by condensing it and use it in the boiler or makeup water. Collect condensate about 263 meter cube per day, less than 100 TDS, and send it for some useful use. The total boiler blowdown in the particular case was 382 TPD. It is vented out in a flash tank. The flash steam generator is vented out to atmosphere. Condensate so generated is drained into the recharge pit. So TDS of the drain blowdown condensate is calculated to be less than 100. So the proposed scheme was we could probably use this condensate, at least as a water, say for flushing in LQs. 100 meter cube per day of water could be used there, toilets, laundry, etc. And then to all tankers going to well pads. We could use they normally up to 300 TDS water also is okay for them. So about 150 meter cube per day could be consumed by them. Total water savings will be in the range of 350 meter cube per day. Additionally, there will be energy savings in terms of waste heat recovery. Similarly, like reuse of RO water, RO reject water. It's a RO reject water is right now not used for any useful purposes. It could be at least used for reinjection of water to the wells after sulfide treatment. So the RO stage 1 reject water is presently sent to deep well injection as well as at a well. Due to higher sulfide content, the water is not used for injection purposes. So the opportunity here was as the sulfide treatment plant was under commissioning in the particular case, about 21,900 meter cube per day of RO stage 1 reject water could be now utilized for well injection purposes. There's the opportunity of using this RO reject waters also. Then collecting fire hydrant testing water in mobile tankers and recycle the water in fire water tank after settling and filtering. See, we have a testing cycle. Like each fire hydrant has to be tested periodically, maybe once in a month, once in 3 months, whatever is the cycle. So that water while testing is straight away rejected and goes to the drain, and it is going to the recharge pit. So the fire water also is a expensive water because we have to give some treatment, take out the oxygen, etc. So this water, while testing of the fire hydrants, we had proposed that the vehicle which goes to the testing carries the water tank, mobile tanker behind it. So the water, the test water can be put into this mobile tankers, and collect it instead of throwing it in the drain. And then this water can be recycled back as a fire water. So there are many opportunities because there are many fire hydrants. So multiple testings, the quantity recovered is quite substantial. Kitchen utility area, we can there is a possibility of optimizing, reducing LPM flow rates of utensil washing taps, etc. And we could optimize water there. The substantial water is used in the kitchens. So in the conclusion, there are many opportunities in the oil and gas E&P industries for reducing energy consumption through effective energy audits, through experienced reputed agencies, and also for reducing water consumption through effective water audits. So it will help reduce overall carbon and water footprints. Thank you.
Thanks, Patil sir, for the excellent presentation. So now I request session chair, to summarize, please. Gupta sir.
So I think Dr. Gupta is no longer online. So you as a session co-chair can just briefly wrap up, as the panelists for the next session are already online. Thanks.
Now it is late. I'll just briefly run through. Yeah, I'll just briefly run through because it's already late. Dr. J.S Sharma, he spoke very well about the sustainable development, people, planet, prosperity, and peace, and protecting the planet. J. Lahiri Sahib spoke very well about the regulations, approvals, and hurdles in the ENP activities in the region. And Mr. Sai Subramanian also elaborated on ESG risks and opportunities, social risks, health and safety aspects, ESG in carbon. And recently, I've heard about Mr. M.A Patil, and he also presented very well about and the audits and how the sustainability. So with this, I conclude the session.